Okay, so yeah, you're all welcome to the session today, and my name is Stephen Sunday. I am one of the Eternity's ambassador here in Nigeria, and it's a privilege for me to have and to be talking with all of you. So just what is DeFi? So we before I go into DeFi, we all know that in terms of DeFi means decentralized financing. So decentralized finance. So it's been shortened as DeFi. But before I go deep into DeFi, we all know that in terms of when it comes to financing globally, what we have the central banks, the microfinance banks, and then all those regulatory bodies that control the use and access to finance. So so for this topic to justify it properly, um, we know that before now or before the introduction of DeFi, we had things like CFI, which is centralized finance. Now, that's in essence, just to make it a lot more easier for us to understand. When you go to borrow money from any of the um, lending houses, maybe you go to borrow loans from the bank and all that. Most times you need to have a collateral to be able to do that. That's just so that they can peg your finance to something that is of value. And most times you need to bring something that is equal to, or no, something that is more than what you are borrowing, so that even if you abscond, they can easily recover their money plus whatever profit they must have made and all of that. So DeFi simply means bringing that system that is already in existence onto the blockchain. Okay, so that's just the simplest way I can explain this for you to understand. So bringing that system of financing onto the blockchain, whereby it's going to be decentralized, it's going to be transparent, it is secured, and of course, everyone can be held accountable. Using that system of financing is what we will be looking at. And the reason why I'm not sharing um, any uh, any slide with you is because I have researched, and recently I got to discover that most times when you streamline yourself to particular sets of points, there are things that you don't actually look into some of the realities, and that's why I want it to be a free flow discussion
Yeah,
where
yeah.
we can where we can connect. Let's connect to each other, and then let's be able to wrap our heads around what's happening across Africa. So in terms of financing, right now, there are quite a lot of mobile applications now that loan you money for a certain amount of interest. So I was introduced to one recently, which says that I can borrow 3,000. No, I can borrow. So when you get introduced to the application, you can borrow from 3,000 or 5,000 or 15,000, as the case may be, and then the interest is like about 20%, and you are supposed to return it in 1 month. So that's what is happening right now, and um, a lot of people, a lot of companies are now beginning to say, okay, let's do this thing, let's go into it. But the transparency in it is actually a question. Um, you don't know anything about these guys. You can't verify these transactions. Even if you are supposed to give a collateral, you might be scared because you don't know these people from anywhere. All you have access to is the application. And so the advocacy, or rather, what we're advocating is, can we have developers, or rather people beginning to say, okay, let's build this thing on blockchain, but not just anyhow blockchain, not just having it run on the blockchain, but a blockchain that can fix the issue of scalability, that is very transparent, it is very secured, and of course, it is very decentralized. And when you look at, anyway, we will have the developer session, but of course, when we look at, so the whole concept of this call is to be able to tell you why we should do this on Eternity and not any other blockchain platform. I would give you a very brief scenario of what's happening in terms of scalability in the crypto space. I'm fortunate to be a bit experienced with, or rather, I've mingled around most of these uh, blockchain protocol, or rather companies, or whatever you call them. And I have noticed that if they are not talking about security, they are talking about scalability or being decentralized. And so far, I've seen these three happen on Eternity. The fact that Eternity is very secured, it is very decentralized, and then, of course, it is very scalable. Uh, in terms of scalability, in fact, to go further and address the issue of scalability, Eternity decided to introduce what is called state channel. And in the blockchain ecosystem, Eternity was actually the first to implement the state channel functionality, whereby you have um, transactions even happening off chain, not just on chain. Just to make the whole blockchain very light and very robust and secure as well. So for me, as a person, I feel Africans, we're not just looking at solutions. We're not just trying to build solutions for the future, or we're not just trying to try our hands on the blockchain, but we need solutions that will scale. Africa, our total number, or rather population in Africa, we're over 1 billion, and we need solutions that can scale, that millions of users can use it at the same time. So the reason why we need decentralized financing on the blockchain is simply because we want to have more people, we want to give more power to people. We want to give more accessibility, more freedom. People can be able to show how transparent they are on the blockchain. And for me, personally, I feel that Eternity has come of age to be able to have um, this kind of um, solutions being deployed on Eternity's protocol.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's why I'm just saying that for us to be able to scale as Africans with solutions like this, we would need blockchain solutions that are not theoretically scalable. Okay, because most of the DeFi solutions that we have right now are running on either Ethereum or some Web 3.0 blockchain platform that are not as scalable as Eternity. And I'll tell you the truth, I have come to discover after a lot of research, and then recently, with my engagements with other blockchain protocols, I've come to discover that actually Eternity's smart contracts protocol are, are actually one of the, in fact, I think is one of the easiest in the ecosystem, in the entire ecosystem. And so
Yeah.
because you will need to have smart contracts controlling these finances, even on these solutions. You can't just say you don't interface with whoever is borrowing money from you or whoever you're lending money to on this kind of platforms, or rather the DeFi platforms. So you would need something, if you are new to smart contracts, you will need a kind of automated system that says once once you stake some certain amount of crypto, or some certain amount of AE, since we're talking about Eternity, you are able to stake some certain amount of AE, maybe 1,000 AE, you will be able to have access to 950 AE. Okay, you can borrow 950 AE for the 1,000 that you stake. So now you would need a smart contract that will be able to automate this kind of information. That once someone stake 1,000 AE, you should be able to have 900 when he places a request for lending, okay, or for borrowing. I mean, so of course I have, like I told you, I've seen that Eternity smart contracts have actually been one of the best and one of the easiest to actually maneuver around with. You know, you can actually play around with the smart contract. It's easy to understand, easy to integrate, and it doesn't have scalability issue, unlike the others. Like I told you, Ethereum is still discussing scalability issue up till now. And Ethereum started way back, even before Ethereum started. So, Ethereum started way back, even before Eternity came into play. So for me, I have, based on everything I've researched, and then of course having DeFi as a solution to CeFi, or as a solution to centralize financing, we can, as Africans, we can be able to scale even our businesses. We can be able to grow rapidly in terms of integration. We can also attract a lot of trust around Africa. So for me, I have always been I've always campaigned for people trying to build local solutions by local developers. And so far, it has actually been very successful for me, because I have been able to see that quite a number of people have engaged, are beginning to think locally and beginning to integrate locally. So if we can, as Africans, take advantage of Eternity, take advantage of the fact that Eternity is scalable, Eternity is decentralized, Eternity is transparent, and of course, Eternity is secured. If we can be able to take advantage of these opportunities, then we can be able to have scalable and very solid DeFi solutions. Because this is what is at work right now. In the whole DeFi ecosystem, there is over $500 million that is locked up. Okay, so it means that it's actually a very viable is a very viable aspect of the ecosystem to begin to look at, and then to begin to want to say, okay, can we bring out something from here? A lot of people around Africa, when building dApps, the central focus has always been, let's build exchanges. Then who are we leaving the other aspects for? So if we can narrow down our thoughts to saying, okay, can we build very robust and solid DeFi solutions across Africa? And not just Africa, but of course Nigeria is in the leading role. So if we can be able to build DeFi solutions, solid DeFi solutions across Africa, starting with Nigeria, then of course we can be able to assure people of scalability and all of that. So with this, I would want to say that for me, I believe that we can have scalable DeFi solutions replacing CeFi options that we have.
Okay. You talked about having a more robust, use case application for DeFi in Africa, and you talked about how we can begin to implement Eternity features like the state channels and all of that, And as an overview, like we have a question from Eric asking, how can we use
Okay.
DeFi in our everyday life? Is it just using crypto for transaction, or is there more to it? It's currently we are seeing that DeFi, it's more of transaction, maybe lending, lending or staking and stuff like that, or borrowing and lending. And we want to see, because we are giving an introduction to speak now. So we want to hear you talk about
Okay.
how
Okay. Yeah. I think. I think
aside
I
payment for crypto, how can we utilize this also for others, other use
okay.
case like you talked about.
Okay. So yeah. So right now, the most outstanding use case that we have has been in terms of day-to-day transaction. That's cryptocurrency has actually been the center point. But we can go beyond just using um, we can go beyond just using cryptocurrency in terms of DeFi. When you're talking about DeFi and addressing issues around DeFi, we can go way beyond using just cryptocurrency. We can even use DeFi for in terms of funding startups. Okay, so we can have solutions. We can have startups pecking up on top of DeFi options for sourcing funding, and then of course um, we can have even governmental options running on DeFi. For instance, you would okay there now NDDC has been in the news.
Yeah.
Okay, NDDC has been in the news simply because the one body is saying no, we are only accountable for 8 billion naira. Another body is saying no, we are accountable. We actually spent 81 billion, and this has brought a lot of mistrust and all of that in the whole country and even globally. Okay, so if we can be able to say, okay, we have this system, but it's going to run on DeFi, whereby contractors can actually peg whatever interest they have onto this, borrow money and execute projects. And of course, once they are done, they can claim back whatever they have, and whatever terms and conditions that are supposed to be met. Once they are met, everybody goes happy. So we can go beyond just exchanging, just borrowing and lending and all of that. We can go way beyond that. But for now, globally, we have proving a point that for now the best use case for blockchain and cryptocurrency has been cryptocurrency, and that's why most of what I've been saying is centered around borrowing and lending. But of
Yeah.
course, we can go beyond that. And yeah, like I just said, we can do quite a lot with DeFi.
Okay. Before we move on, can you give an overview of the difference between decentralized finance in comparison with our centralized banking system? How this contrasts, in comparing and contrasting between both
Okay.
systems. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, thank you for saying that. Even though I've been saying it, I okay, I was wishing we were looking at each other, while talking. It was a face-to-face kind of discussion, but no problem. So now, like I said, in terms of centralized system, it's just like you're looking at what blockchain is and what the regular system is. So the centralized system of financing, where the banks and then the lending houses fall into, they are controlled system. They are system that can be manipulated, for selfish interest.
Yeah.
You can't verify anything that is happening in CeFi. You can't question. You can't actually question, even though you can question, but to some certain limit. Okay, and there is tendency that there will be high rate of corruption. I just cited instance with CeFi, with NDDC, even the central bank, and central bank, NNPC. So these are bodies that are actually dealing with either giving money out or remitting or collecting money, and they are actually marred by a lot of corruption and irregularities in the process. Whereby in DeFi, you are bringing that system onto a transparent platform. So what you're doing is you're saying, okay, everybody come, let's dissect this together. This is what was used to build this system, and these are the features, or these are the characteristics. So in DeFi, it is very transparent, it is very decentralized, it can be verified, it is secured, and of course, so looking at the two, you will agree with me that for every DeFi transaction, it can be verified to the latter, simply because it is on the blockchain, and every transaction that happens on the blockchain can be verified.
Okay.
You agree with me? So now, so now for CeFi, whereby for CeFi, me and you cannot walk to the central bank governor, and ask, why did NDDC spend 81 billion? Yeah. So two of us, we can't walk to central bank and ask this question. Or maybe, for instance, you have a lending. Okay, OPay is a general example. OPay is a lending platform that you can borrow money, okay? Or maybe you go to Remitano, and all that. You borrow money, and then you can't ask OPay. So these monies okay, maybe you stake a certain amount of money. You invested a certain amount of money with OPay. And OPay now comes to say your dividend is 50 kobo for every 1K that you deposited. You can't go to OPay and say, okay, show me the transaction. How did it happen? How did you do your maths? But in DeFi, because it is decentralized, everybody has access to it. Everybody can verify.
Yeah.
So this is just the little I would say because of time constraint.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Sunday. You've given us a very good starting point for us this evening, and I would love to appreciate you. So right now we'll move on to, before we move on, we'd love to know if there are questions, maybe where you may not be clear right now, so you can raise your hand or you drop the question at the comment section so we can take the question. We can ask Mr. Steven, and before moving forward. All right. I'll give us a few minutes to do that. If there are questions about what you may not understand, maybe the history of DeFi, why DeFi, if there are questions on that, you can ask before we move on. All right. You can keep your question also. We'll also do a question and answer. We also have time for question and answer before the end of today's event. Okay. We'd love to move on, because talking about decentralized finance, we started with a theoretical overview of what the topic is, how we compare this from the normal banking system, and we say, okay, because it's decentralized finance is on the blockchain, it's transparent, it doesn't have any central authority, it's free from stuff like embezzlement, and you can track, you can really see how transparent the whole process is. And we talked about real world application of decentralized finance. And going, we'll see this from a more technical point of view right now. We'll see how a key factor to decentralized finance, which is smart contracts. Mr. Steven talked about how Eternity smart contract is, it's very easy for developers to utilize in building reward solutions for DeFi. We've talked about state channels, and it's one of the beautiful, unique features of Eternity. And to talk about the developers angle of this, because I believe we have developers here also, and even though we may not have developers, we have people who would love to see how these ideas could be implemented using programming or smart contract, or from the more technical perspective of implementing these ideas. Because building reward solutions for DeFi, you would need a developer team. For example, you're building a banking system, or you're implementing a decentralized banking system on the blockchain. You can't just come and, because the idea is on your head, you just come and the idea appears to the world for people to use. No, you need developers to work on these ideas. If you're not a developer, you need to employ developers. And we would love to see how Eternity, brings this to a more practical and more easy way for developers to begin to implement DeFi. Okay. And talking about this, we have a developer with us. Is very good. He was, okay. Let me say he was a developer for Solidity. But when he joined, when he started using Sophia, he could see the difference and how easy it was to implement. So he has a very good background in building decentralized applications and programming, because he has been in the two sides, so he understands this perfectly well, and that's why we brought him on this to talk about the role of smart contract in DeFi, and how you can implement decentralized finance using Eternity. All right, I would love to bring Mr. Emmanuel Ejiofor. Is it Mr. Emmanuel Ejiofor or Mr. Emmanuel Ume?
Emmanuel.
Okay, Emmanuel Ume. We'd love to bring him to the stage to take us on developer walkthrough, and just please make it more simple for everyone. Everything is quite technical. All right, thank you. Over to you.
I'll make it as simple as possible. So, hello everyone. My name is Emmanuel, like I said. I'm a blockchain developer. Yeah, specialized. I didn't run away from Solidity, like you said, but I'm also a Solidity and a Sophia developer as well. So, today I'll be giving us a walkthrough on basically what smart contracts are, how DeFi works, like when it comes to the developers, point of view. And I'm just going to give a preview of what it looks like. I'm not going to go fully in depth, just to keep things as simple as possible. So, first of all, just to point things out, DeFi presently has over $1 billion locked up in crypto DeFi, and all this is possible due to the ability of smart contracts. So now, a lot of us might be asking, what are smart contracts? So I'm going to give us a theoretical background of smart contracts. So smart contracts were first proposed in 1994 by a particular individual called Nick Szabo. Right? He was an American scientist, and then he created a virtual currency called Bitgold in 1998. So he was actually rumored to be the owner of Bitcoin, but that was just for conspiracy and all of that. So, but when we go into smart contracts, you say, what are smart contracts? So now smart contracts are basically self-executing contracts with the terms of agreement between a buyer and the seller written into lines of code. So what that basically means is that smart contracts serves as a middleman between transactions. So let's say Mr. A wants to purchase something from Mr. B. right? And he doesn't really know Mr. B, and then he doesn't want to be a victim of fraud, or he doesn't want to be a victim of disagreement in the long run. So what the smart contract does is the smart contract serves as the middleman, therefore ensuring both of them.
Okay, I think there's an issue with his connection, so
Yeah.
would try and answer the question before he comes back. Mr. Steven, there's a question
Yeah,
for
I
you.
just saw the question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
so right now every country in the world has a Security and Exchange Commission that is saddled with the responsibility of making sure that these things are being implemented. And
Okay,
I
so
would want to, okay,
yeah,
Emmanuel is back, so
yes, I
I think
think
you can continue.
I
yeah,
can
continue.
continue. We'll
Sorry.
get back to that.
All right, so smart contract. So what basically smart contracts do is that they serve as a middleman between transactions to ensure that like Mr. Steven said, transparency, visibility, so that no one in the whole agreement end up being scammed, or getting frauded of maybe their funds or their crypto or their transactions. So smart contracts are very important in the role of DeFi. They're very in the whole DeFi space because they basically power the whole system. So now, speaking about smart contracts, I'm going to be introducing everybody here to Sophia. Now, Sophia is a smart contract language provided by Eternity. So I'll be sharing my screen to give you a view of what of Eternity themselves, right? So Eternity, we can all see my screen, right?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
All right. So Eternity is a blockchain platform which was built to basically tackle issues with the current blockchain system that we have. So what Eternity did is that Eternity redesigned the blockchain technology at the protocol level to ensure that the functionalities were met, and also to tackle the issues of scalability, which has been a major issue on the blockchain today. So a way that Eternity tackles, I'm just going to go into a bit description. A way Eternity tackles the whole issues of scalability is with state channels. Now, basically, what state channels are? State channels are just a medium where transactions can happen off chain. And what I mean by that is that transactions can happen off the blockchain, but are still powered or still protected or still as secure as transactions happen on the blockchain. Now, the blockchain is then triggered when there's some sort of disagreement between the parties. Then the blockchain will now trigger that particular transaction to ensure that nobody there gets frauded and all of that. So state channels are very, very important in image scalability issues. As as with this technology, it can actually scale to billions of transactions at very, very fast speed, just to ensure that there's no a lot of stress or workload on the particular blockchain itself. So this is the Eternity's official website, where they have a lot of information about everything you need to know to get started. They also have use cases of Sophia and Eternity, which comes from documents, contracts, invoice receipt to DeFi, and DeFi is decentralized finance, which we are working on right now. So, in order just to, because of time, I'm going to go straight into what we'll be covering for today, which is Sophia. Now, Sophia is Eternity smart contract language, and then it's very, very simple to use. Now, one of the good thing about Sophia is that it's very, very simple, and then it's not like its complexity is brought down to a very minimum level where anybody even learning how to code can understand. So Sophia can be set up in two ways, right? You can either set up run Sophia codes on the web IDE, or the on your web without stress, which was without stress. So you can actually run without stress, and then you can run it straight on your web, which will ensure that everybody can easily run it, or you can run it locally on your browser. So can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, so
Yes,
you
we
can
can
run it.
hear you.
Okay, I need to make sure. So we can run it straight on your or locally using the A project. So so to run it straight on your browser is what we're going to be doing today, so that anybody that follow along can easily follow along. So we're going to be using this, which is called the Fire Editor. So the Fire Editor was created by the Eternity team to make it easier for developers to get started with Eternity. So when you go over to Fire Editor on DigitalHubs.de, it will provide you with this IDE with a default smart contract here, and then it will show you, give you test accounts, which are 5 test accounts, each funded with AE for you to test your codes, right? And then also, but before you use this, you have to log in. I'm already logged in, but you have to log in with your GitHub, and you can use this. Also, it provides you a place where you can deploy your smart contract and actually test it, and also a place where you can actually call, transaction exchanges on this place. So smart contract that I wrote. And now what this smart contract does is that it's a platform where you can buy or sell games on the blockchain. Now, to make this simple, I just made a very simple smart contract, which I'm going to be explaining in detail. So when you come over to this studio and you actually want to write or create a smart contract, the first thing you're going to do is that you're going to define the contract and give it a name. Now, when you give the contract a name, you have to give the name has to start with a capital letter, and then that's basically the name of your contract you created. Now, you might be asking what this payable here means. Now, payable means it means that this contract is going to be accepting and receiving, funds or crypto. So anytime your contract is going to be performing, transactions and exchanges, you must define it payable. Now, when you come up down here to record, now this record game is basically a structure in which each of your games they're saving on the platform is going to be stored in. So when you say record game, I gave it some basic parameters. These are basically like a class with where all these are just one mix of the game. So first of all, we're going to have the ID of the game, and then we have the name of the game. Also have the price. We also have how many times it's been purchased. We have the description of the game, the image of the game, just for a show, so that when you're actually showing it on your live DApp, you can actually show images of the game so that people can actually interact based on the user experience. Also the owner, which is the type is actually an address, which I'll be explaining later, and the file hash. Now this file hash is going to be provided to us via IPFS. Now a lot of people ask what IPFS is. IPFS stands for Interplanetary File System. And what IPFS does is that it saves the whole issue of gas cost. So one of the issues of the blockchain was when you actually want to save a file or a heavy file on the blockchain, it costs a lot of gas fee and it costs you a lot of money. So IPFS came up with a solution where it's actually a decentralized system where you can actually upload your file, right? And then it's going to give you a hash which signifies your file. And then that file now, that hash is what you can give to someone else, to download your file straight up. So we're going to be using that instead of, actually uploading a real file. So also let's go down here to record state. Now this state is basically a something or a function where you can actually make mutations into your data that you stored or the data that you're about to store on the blockchain. That's so on this record state we added a game length functionality, which is going to be keeping tracks of how long the game is, and that's how many number of games that we have on the platform. And then also these games here is going to be a mapping, which is going to map an ID, which is an integer, to this game, and this game is gotten from the record in which we created. Now what this does is that it's going to give each game that is saved on the blockchain an identity, which is basically an ID or an index. So the first game that is saved is going to give you an ID of 1, the second game is going to give you an ID of 2, and so on, which give us, so that we can easily get these games. You understand as we go on to the course. Now, this entry point in it. Now, people might ask, what does entry point mean? Now, entry point is a way which you define a function in Sophia, and then entry point means this function is actually a public function and means it can be called from outside the smart contract, which is going to be called here, which I'm going to be showing in a few moments. So basically what this init function now means is that this is going to be the code that is going to run immediately your smart contract is deployed. So what this means is that when the smart contract is deployed, your games here is going to be empty, meaning you won't have any game stored, and also the length of game you have is going to be 0. So that's basically what this whole function means. So for every smart contract, you should always have your init function, which is always going to be run immediately your smart contract is deployed. So we have a couple of functions. We have an add game function, a get game length function, get game function, and a buy game function. So this is all we need for now. So I'm going to explain in details what this function do. So first of all, I'm going to start over with the add game function. Now this add game was declared payable. Reason why is because this function is going to be receiving, like I said, going to be receiving or accepting cryptocurrencies, right? Or AE, which is Ethos, which is actually Eternity's own cryptocurrency. So I created it, and it's also stateful. And then the reason why it's stateful is because this function is going to make changes to our state. So any function that's going to make changes to your state should be declared stateful. So what it means making changes to your state is that it's going to make changes to this right here, right? So anything, this is basically your state. So you can make changes to the values inside your state. And then to make changes to that, your function that is going to make changes to that state has to be declared stateful. So the name of the function is add game. So you can name this anything you want. And then this function is going to take a couple of parameters, which is going to take the name of the game, the price of the game, images of the game, description, and also the file hash. Now you notice that this arguments passed are gotten from here. That's our structure in which our game is going to be saved. But some things were omitted, like the owner of the game, right? And the ID of the game. Sorry, this and ID of the game. Now, why this is omitted? Because we're going to be looking into some of Sophia's tools that make things easier for us, which are inbuilt functions that will provide us, the address of the person that owns the smart contract, and also our algorithm is going to handle the ID of each game that's being saved. So let's go back here. So what's going on here is that we're saying let's in a game we define a new variable here called game, and it's going to be equals to this particular object. Now what this is that we're trying to create an instance of this structure that we created. So everything that we have inside this new game here is going to be identical to what we have inside of here, like this. So so we say let game is equals to, so the ID now is going to be this get game length plus 1. Now what this means is that it's going to call this particular function get game length. Now this particular function, what it does is that it returns state.gameLength. Now, unlike other programming languages where you actually have to, maybe put a print function here, right, and then to ensure that it's going to like bring out exactly what print out to the console what exactly it wants. With Sophia, you can basically just put what you're going to what is going to print out, and then automatically it calls out the function for you. So we said here, over here, entry point game length is going to return a state.gameLength. So what this function is going to do is that from this state, it's going to come look into this state here, and it's going to access game length, right? So the game length at our init function, we define that our game length is actually going to start from 0. So the first game we add is going to have an ID of 0. But we don't want our game to start from the ID of 0. We want them to start from ID of 1. So we're going to add 1 to the ID. So the next game that's going to be added is going to get the same way. Our game length will now be 1 at that point, and the next game will now be added 1 to it, so we give it the ID of 2. So it's just a simple algorithm like that. So the name, right, is going to be equals to the name that we pass in as an argument, and then you notice that this name is not the same as this, right? Because I added this single quote to make you see that this name is actually a local variable which is passed as an argument to this function. So I did that for all of that. So you see the name, you can see the price, you can see the description, images, purchase at initial is going to be equal to 0, and then the owner now is going to be equal to call.caller. Now what this call.caller function means, right? Call.caller is basically an inbuilt Sophia function that provides you the address of the user calling this particular function. So if, let's say I were to call this function, my call.caller will be this, which is the address of the account I'm currently interacting with the blockchain with. So it's going to be this hash or this string here, which shows your identity on the blockchain. So I'll get into that as we go on. So the file hash also is going to be provided the IPFS, but for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just going to enter some sort of random hash to replace that. Also, we're going to also increase the index, which is going to be get game length plus 1. Reason why we're doing this is just to keep count of the number of games that we have. So now, to now update or save this particular game on the blockchain, we're going to call it put state. Now, this put state function basically makes mutations to our state and then updates the state and then updates our data on the blockchain. So the put state function is going to grab the games, right, which is off of here in the state, and then it's going to grab the game with this particular index, right, which is going to be like in the case of the first game, we're going to grab the index of the first game, that's with the game with ID of 1, and then it's going to put in the new game that we created. So what that does is that it's going to give that game that particular ID and it's going to save it on the blockchain. Also, we're going to update the game length, which is going to be index of it's going to be the same as the ID, so that if we have 2 games, the number of games we have is going to be 2, and so on and so forth. So and when this function calls successfully, we want to get a game added successfully. So all of that will be shown very, very soon in the console when we deploy our contract here. So also now, our get game functionality is very, very simple functionality. So it's an entry point as well. So it means it's actually an external function as well. So you can call from outside. So you are going to pass in an index as a parameter. So now this index is going to just basically be the ID of the game. So what it's going to do is that it's going to call the switch statement, which is going to search the mapping, or going to search this particular game's mapping here. It's going to search it for any game that has the ID of the game passed as an argument. So if no game with that index is found, it's going to tell us the game no game exists with this index. But if that game is found, it's going to return the game. Also, our last functionality here is actually a buy game functionality. So it's also going to take the ID of the game we want to buy, right? And then, okay, now, so we said let game is equal to get game ID. Now, this get game is basically this function. So one cool thing about Sophia is that you can actually call, a function inside another function. You have to, ensure you don't have to write, excess amount of code, too much excess code, and make your whole smart contract messy. So we can just basically call up this function. So what it's going to do is it's going to check for the game with that ID. And then if no game is found, it's going to tell us no game exists with this index. But if the game is found, right, it's going to continue with the smart contract. So it's going to, the next line of code here, which says let owner equals to game.owner.address. So this is going to just get off the address of the person that owns that particular game. Now the reason why is so that you can run these next 3 lines of code here, which I'm going to explain. Now the first line here says require that the owner. Like one thing with Sophia is that Sophia is really, really readable, like human readable. You can actually look at it and understand what's going on, even if maybe an active developer and all of that. So it says require that the owner is not equals to the code or color. And like I said earlier, the code or color is basically the address of the person that is calling this contract. So what this does is that if the owner of the game is now the one calling this buy game functionality game, it's going to throw this error which says cannot buy your own game. So you just ensure that a user cannot come and then buy his own game from himself. So it doesn't actually make any sense for you to buy your own product. So also we also throw in that require statement is just to ensure that we avoid errors. So we ensure that the game ID which was provided over here, that the game ID is not less than 0, right? We want to ensure that the game's ID is not less than 0. If not, because our IDs or the index of each game starts from 1. So if anybody puts ID that is less than 0, it's going to abort. You understand? I'm going to throw this error that is not a game. Now, also the third and check that we have here is that we require that the code of value is greater than or equal to the game.price. If it's tell you that you don't have enough AE, which it was. So what it means is that we have to require that the amount the person is, imputing for his how much he wants to buy the game, it has to be more than the price of the game or equals to the price of the game. This is to ensure that the person that owns the game does not have his game sold at a very less price than it's actually meant to be. Because so that's the whole bit of smart contract. So it actually ensures that no form of fraud happens. It ensures that the person that the price is set for your game is actually the set price that it's actually being sold at. That's one of the beauties of smart contracts and of Sophia. So after that is done, it's going to update the game structure that we have, and then all of this is just putting back the values of the game. What we should be interested here is that is the purchase field here, which is going to increase the number of times the game has been purchased, and it's going to now edit our state and then update the game with that particular ID. So after all this code runs successfully, it's now going to transfer to the owner. That's what change of spend means. It's basically an inbuilt Eternity function, Sophia function as well, that transfers crypto from one address to another address. So the change of spend function is going to transfer the code of value, which is basically the amount the person is going to pass in inside this field, to the owner of the smart contract. And when that smart contract is called, it's going to tell us that the game has worked successfully. So that's how simple Sophia smart contracts can be. So the make things very simple to use and very very efficient. So you can actually build a Sophia smart contract from scratch, from as quick as possible. So I'm going to also be showing us how it actually works, but I think I'm having a bit of network issue. So before this loads, I'm going to okay, it's loaded already. Let's just give it a second. So just to have a live preview of how it actually works, so that it's not just code in theory, but it actually, you should actually see how it actually works. But before this loads up, I'm going to go over to explain, show you in real world example of a smart contract that is being run of a platform that is actually run by smart contracts. So over here you can come over to JellySwap, right, or Jelly.market. It's actually a marketplace where you can actually come and exchange all of your cryptos from whether AE, Ethereum, BTC, DAI, whatever it is. You can actually exchange either across blockchain transactions or changing your token from one form to another. So you can come over here and sell your Eternity tokens, get Ethereum tokens, and or get BTC tokens and all of that. So that now how this works is that it's being powered by smart contracts, which ensure that both parties are actually perform their own end of the bargain. So ensure that the buyer A does not scam buyer B, or the person that is selling. So the buyer does not scam the person that is selling. So it's smart contract ensure that both sides or both parties are actually met. So this is basically a real world, example of a place where you can actually see smart contracts at work and all of that. So let's go back over to our field.
Oh, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
I think your screen is static. Oh.
Okay, can you hear me now?
No, I mean your screen. You're sharing your screen with us, right?
Okay. Yes.
I think your screen is static. It's not moving from.
Oh. Okay. All right. But all right. Give me a second.
No, actually, we didn't see anything. You were busy explaining.
Yeah. We just saw the Eternity website.
But anyway,
oh, okay. You couldn't see the screen?
No, we just saw the website. You went to Eternity's website, and that was what we saw when you.
Okay. Sorry. Can you see this?
Yes, we can see this. Yes.
Okay. All right. So, sorry about that. So this basically is the smart contract I was trying to explain, and how it works. Yeah. So sorry. So I'm just going to give a preview again over it. So, but I'm just going to show you how it works. So over here, you can. This is the address of the account that you're actually given, and you're giving further addresses for you to actually test your smart contracts. So this is a smart contract for a gaming platform where you can come and buy and sell your games, and it's going to be hosted on IPFS. So like I was saying, Sophia smart contracts are very easy to use, very effective, and very simple to write up, and they basically look like plain English. So you can actually look at it and actually understand, even if you're not coming from a very good developer point of view. So over here, when you finish writing your smart contract, you're going to also come over here and click on deploy. So now what this deploy is going to do is going to deploy an instance of your smart contract to the blockchain so that you can interact with it. So over in your logs here, you can find the status of your contract. So it tells me my contract was deployed successfully, and it also tells me, the owner of the smart contract, which is basically my address and the transaction address and all of that. So over here, you can see the smart contract deployed for you. So you can click on it, and then you can call, all the functions that you defined as entry points, which are going to be public functions, which are shown over here. So any function that carries function name of entry points, it means that you actually call it outside the smart contract, which is going to be here. So first of all, the first thing we're going to do is that, okay, let's call it get game length. At beginning, we should have a game length of 0, right? But Eternity shows this as false. So they portray values of 0 as false. So let's try and add a game. So the game now we're going to add takes five parameters, which is the name of the game, the price of the game, right? The image, the description, and one more thing, which is going to be the file hash. So let's just quickly add the game. So I'm going to add the game, let's say Call of Duty over here. Now, when you actually go into live with this, you're going to actually make your front end part of your code interact with your smart contract, so that the user doesn't have to come and do this by himself. You understand? So it's going to be made simple for him. So over here, you add the name of the game, also the price of the game. So I'm going to just put one ATOS, and then the image, I'm just going to put something random, so .image.com, right? And then for the description, COD is a battle royale game. And then the file hash is going to be, I'm just going to use this for now, since I don't want to, take us over to explain deep in core what IPFS is.
Okay.
So, I'm going to
yeah, Emmanuel, what game is this? What game are you?
Okay, this is Call of Duty, and I'm sure we're all familiar with Call of Duty here.
Okay.
So that's the name of the game here, Call of Duty. So we're going to click on this send transaction, and we're going to wait for the transaction to be successful. So the transaction has been added successfully, and you can see it over here. It gives us a return value of game added successfully. So when we do that, now we can now come and call the game get game length, which is supposed to return the value of 1, because presently we have only one game presently called on the blockchain on the smart contract. So we get a return value of 1. So you can also get a game via its ID. So since remember we in the code over here, we mapped each game to an integer, and this integer is going to be incremented from 1 to infinity. You understand, depending on the number of games we have. So for round we have only one game, meaning the ID of that game is basically 1. So we can come over here and click on 1 to add game to get the game with the ID of 1, and we call that function, and it's going to return us the details of the game in a particular, which is like description of the game, the file hash, the ID, the image, and then the name, and then the owner. Now this owner is gotten, the owner address here is gotten with Sophia's inbuilt functionality, which is basically this call.caller over here. So call.caller, remember, provides you the address of the person calling that particular function. So it's going to be the address of the owner of this particular game. So now, if we want to buy a game, right, we're going to pass in the ID of the game we want to buy. So we want to pass in the game ID of the game 1. Now, over here, we threw a require statement, which ensures that a user cannot buy his own game, which is over here. Require that the owner is not equal to the call.caller, so you cannot buy a game. So let's just test that. So if I come over here and I say, okay, buy this game with this same address, I say buy the game with an index of 1, and I call this transaction. Let's take a look at our logs here. It's going to call us a failure. It's going to throw us an error. And down here, it's going to show us what our error is, which says cannot buy your own game, which is the default, error message we throw over here. So that's the way you can actually handle errors with Sophia. Very, very simple and very, very easy, and ensure your algorithm is working. So in order to buy this game right now, we have to actually change our contracts so that a different user can buy the game. So let's change this account maybe to this. Let's use this for account, right? And now we also want to buy this. To buy the game actually costs 1 ATOS. So what we're going to do is that we're going to pass in 1 here, which is basically the price of the game, the value of the game, right? And then now we're going to call the function, which is going to be a buy game function. So we call the function, and then it tells us the game has been bought successfully. So this is the way a smart contract can actually interact. So if we come over to here and want to call this function, it tells us that we should actually clear the value that we're inputting. What it actually means is that we're actually changing it back to zero because that function is non-payable. So once you take this back to zero, right, and then we're going to now call this function, which is going to be a get game. Now, watch at first we found out that the number of purchases was zero. So now that somebody has purchased the game, when we call this functionality, the number of purchases should increase to one. So that's a way that smart contracts, this basic description of how smart contracts work. So they basically are just self-executing code that ensure that the person or people that having some sort of transaction over the blockchain do not run into issues of fraud and all of that. So that's the basic overview of Sophia. So also I'll be showing a real world example of like I said earlier. Sorry, my screen was not showing, but I was discussing Jelly.com market or Jelly Swap. It's basically, like I said earlier, it's a place where you can actually swap your crypto for another crypto, with the use of smart contracts. So it ensures that builder is coming to sell a crypto, and then the person that is buying your crypto ensure that you guys are actually going to be governed by smart contract to ensure that your transaction is transparent and there's no some sort of fraud between the two buyers. So this is just a real world. You can check it out at Jelly.market, a real world use case of smart contracts. Yeah. And then smart contracts, any transaction made on a smart contract can also be viewed. So like Mr. Stevens said, it can be smart contract ensure that everything is made transparent, ensures transparency. So every transaction that is made on the blockchain, made on the via smart contracts, are shown on the Explorer. So you can come over to the testnet or eternal.io, and then all you have to do is just to pass in the hash of your particular transaction, and your hash is going to be provided for you once you call a particular function or deploy your smart contracts. So you can come over here and paste your hash, and then you find out that yes, your transaction was actually shown on the blockchain. You need to know to get started with Sophia. There's a lot of documentation which you can read on their GitHub. You can go to cover everything in detail, from the contract, immutable state, namespace, their standard libraries, and everything you need to know. So it's all over here. We're going to paste it for those all that actually interested, because it's very, very rich for you to go deep into Sophia. So the question right now on the mind, so why Sophia over other blockchain platforms?
Yes.
Yeah. So Sophia Sophia basically ensures that fixes the whole issue of scalability issue. Now on other normal blockchain platforms, there's always the issue of scalability, and that's when transactions or the whole lot of transactions happening on the blockchain, cause delay in execution of transactions and all of that. So Eternity tackles all of that by ensuring by using state channels. So this means that transactions can happen off the chain, and ensure that every transaction is happens well, and there's no some sort of delay and all of that. So Sophia is actually an amazing smart contract language, and Eternity actually still developing this language to ensure that the platform keeps getting better and better. And I see a lot of amazing use cases on Eternity. So with that, so thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Emmanuel, for your presentation. I believe many guys here, they may not be familiar with okay, they may not be familiar with Emmanuel. Can you mute yourself, please? You're mute when. Okay. So I believe many guys may not be familiar with programming, and the example you showed, the Call of Duty game, I believe in so many persons' eye, the whole code and everything will be looking kind of too ambiguous or too out of place for them. So I would want you to give a theoretical idea of what the game was all about, without sharing the code, just a theoretical idea on the D app example, and explain in a more simple terminology for everyone to understand. Yeah.
Okay, so theoretically, what that is basically just a smart contract that will handle a buying and selling platform, yes, on the blockchain. So what that platform basically does is that it allows users or owners of games to come on the platform, right? Upload their game on the blockchain and then get people to buy their game on the platform. Now the whole transactions and the whole everything that happens on that platform is governed by smart contracts. And the reason why it's governed by smart contracts is to ensure transparency and to ensure there's no some sort of fraud. Understand? So it's all about smart contracts. It's basically all about smart. So what the platform basically in a nutshell is just for a place where people can come and buy and sell basically. So theoretically that's
Okay.
all about. So the whole game I was adding Call of Duty was just an instant example of someone coming to add if you had the Call of Duty game for sale and all of that. So
Okay. Let me ask a question. Smart contracts, we say it's transparent, it's secured and all of that. Now, can we say if I build a project, I have some control over the platform? For example, you built a D app to show us an example. In a way, I think you have control over that idea in a way. I don't know. So let's talk about the
okay.
disadvantages, the advantages, of smart contract and how smart contracts came into place and why smart contracts, just, tie them together before we move on.
Okay, all right. We coming over the issue of control, right? Now, the whole essence of smart contract is to define your whole logic into piece of code. Now, what this means is basically that let's say me and you want to make a particular transaction. Now, the one of the features of blockchain is anonymity, meaning you're basically anonymous when on the blockchain. So now, if I'm going to make it in interaction with you, or I want to, make some sort of like buying or trading with you, how do I ensure that you're not a fraud, or how do I ensure you're not going to run away with, my cash or whatever it is? Now, that's where smart between us basically is code that ensures that okay, I'm not going to fraud you. Now, I'm not even going to be the one governing this particular transaction. It's going to be the smart contract. And one thing about smart contract is that they're made available to anybody. So, like, if I want to make transaction with you over this particular DApp, I can go ahead and look at the smart contract. Okay, I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, this is exactly what it does, and ensure that okay, yeah, this smart contract is actually legit. There's no some sort of fraudulent activity in the smart contract. So now, the reason why all of this, that's the whole essence of the whole transparency. So I can actually see the whole, everything that's going on. Because if our normal traditional system where there's a middleman between us, and that middleman can basically is prone to human emotions. You understand? Like he can say okay, man, I don't want to do this anymore. He just carries all your money and then runs away with it, and then he's totally anonymous, and then there's nothing you can do about it. So that's where the whole advent of smart contracts. So smart contract is basically just that legal agreement between two parties. Now, so the advantage of smart contract, like I said earlier, is basically the transparency and the traceability, because you can trace any transaction happen. You can also see, the transaction and what it was used for. So those are the two main use cases of using smart contracts. And then the also another advantage that is limitless, like the border, it is not limited by border. So anywhere you are in the world, you can have interaction with anybody in the world, whether he's in Antarctica or wherever. You can basically do some sort of exchange with him. So that's basically the why smart contracts are actually the big thing right now in going into the future.
Okay. Eric asked a question: why do we call it smart contracts? Can we not just say programming on the blockchain? So why is it smart? Why is smart contracts smart? You know, can you throw a little light on that?
Okay, yeah, it's called smart contract for a reason, because the reason why it was coined the name smart contract is because these are contracts that are basically, first of all, they are totally digital. So they're totally digital, so they are not written into some sort of piece of paper. And secondly, now these are basically contracts that are self-governing, so they don't have any form of body governing this smart contract. So they are basically the ones governing themselves. So they are basically code that governs itself. So the whole term of calling it smart was just to give it that whole look of okay, this is actually tech that actually governs itself to ensure that there's no form of fraud, or some sort of disagreement between two people. So that's what gave it the whole idea of the whole smart contract. So basically, a contract that is smart. That's just the idea about it.
So you mean a contract that you don't have to be there for it to implement itself. You just understand what it's supposed to do, and
Yeah,
it
you
does it for
understand.
you.
Yeah,
All
the
right,
self it knows when to execute and all of that. So
all right. That's great. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for your presentation. Would come back to this when we have general discussion, when everyone contributes, and see how we can take it up from there. Okay, the next session will be handled by me before we bring on Mr. Brent Adams, to come uh, into the scene to teach us on we'll discuss further on the future of DeFi, and we'll talk about the challenges. We'll talk about where we are currently in Africa, because that's a very good point. Because before we start talking about looking forward or talking about the future, we must know where we are now, and we'll give typical examples from the global sphere and see how we can implement more use case. And we'll also open the floor to everyone to talk about your own ideas that you have about DeFi, why you think we should, implement these ideas, and going forward, we'll see how we can take note of all these ideas shared this evening and see how we can begin to see how to bring this into the Eternity project and see how we can, as developers, because we have developers here, we can start working on this. Also, we can create a team, we who are developers here, and developers we connect with, you can start creating teams around these ideas, not just developer teams. We create teams of people that are good with organization, people that are good with documentation, and all of that. In programming, there's a good part that people that we do not really talk about. It's the documentation. For if you work in a firm, for example. Okay, please, Samsi, please, let's see your question again. You can post your question again, so I'll take note of it. Okay, please, so we'll take note of it. We'll have a question and answer session, and we'll treat every question. So please drop your question again. All right. So, like I said, like I was saying, we have an important part, which is documentation. We have research also. Talking about building applications, we must know what are the current challenges in the real world. In Africa also, we must know what are the current challenges, and we need researchers also. We believe bringing this event together, the Superhero League, is to connect with blockchain. Geeks, we can say blockchain geeks or blockchain specialists. Some of us, we've spent like 2 3 4 years in the blockchain space. We've gone through different projects, and we'll be able to gather a lot of experience, and we'll see how we can bring in our different skills, even if we are not developers, and we can see how we can connect more and begin to implement these use case ideas, because it is one thing to organize sessions like this, and we talk about use case ideas, and it's another thing to begin to implement these ideas, and that's where we look at, where we want. Okay, I've seen your question. We'll treat that. Something noted. Thank you for asking. Okay, so we would want to see how we can begin to implement this, because decentralized finance is a hot topic now in the blockchain space. When you go on Twitter, when you go on what, if you follow platforms that publish about blockchain cryptocurrencies, you see much discussion about decentralized finance, about data, and all of this. And would love to talk about use case ideas. Love to talk about use case ideas. That's and I also take us through superhero platform. This is the superhero league, superhero.com league, and we have a superhero.com platform which we'll be using for our contest, our medium contest, writers contest that we have, and we'll see some entries coming in. I would love to encourage every one of us going forward. You can live here with your own ideas that you've gathered from the knowledge you've gotten. Like we saw an example of building a Call of Duty application where people can sell and buy games. You can, from these, come up with your own ideas and write, and we'll see how you can participate in the contest and win prizes for your participation. So right now we'll be going to talk about use case idea for decentralized finance. Ideally, if we like, for example, myself, when I first started researching about decentralized finance, I was, introduced into the financial aspect of it, more of, okay, um, having platforms that could solve the issue that we see in the banking sector today. Talk about automated, like Emmanuel talk about automated token exchange. Like the swaps that we have, where you swap your crypto to another crypto. That Eternity has a platform of its own that it powers, that I love to show you guys. I love to show you guys this. Let me share my screen. Okay. All right. So um please let me know if you can. Okay, sure, you can see my screen. Now the Jelly Swap the Eternity has, the which powers, you can swap your cryptocurrencies for within Eternity. Currently we have Eternity, then BTC, swapped on the platform. And this is for a use case idea, already implemented, and it is a more of a popular use case, in the crypto space, and talk about finance, and we see this is a D app anyways, but it is, used to swap between cryptocurrencies. Now I just wanted to show us that example so we can start talking about more ideas to implement, aside the financial angle of decentralized finance. We talk about ideas like having, we see more of, like, for example, if I would love to talk about the issue of funding, for startups. It's very important. Although in Eternity we have the Eternity Ventures, we have the Starfleet program, and okay, all right. So we see the Eternity Fronts project, but we'd love to see how we can talk about more use case implementation for funding, in Africa. Let's talk about the question that was asked, okay, somebody asked about how many people are currently unbanked, and how is the narrative just okay. I get your question. We have so many people unbanked, we have so many people that are now open to banking services, and even in this period that we had the COVID-19 issue, we saw more increase in the use of um, online payment platform in sending money, also making order. For example, you want to order from an e-commerce shop, like the the Jeff Bezos platform, the Amazon platform, and other platform. Most persons began to see how they can sit in the comfort of their house and make transaction. And we talk about this also in the we talk about how this can also be implemented using Eternity cryptocurrency, because currently in the space, Eternity has a very fast transaction speed. If you send me AE, you receive the AE very fast. If you send me AE, I receive the AE in no time. It's just a matter of milliseconds, and I find the AE in my wallet. If I send you AE, it's just a matter of seconds. Also, you find this, and this can also be implemented. We talk in relating this to how people start shopping online from the comfort of their home, paying with their cards. We had an increase in the use of online payment systems for transactions, because people couldn't go to the bank to make any transaction because the bank were closed, and we see people at stay in the comfort of their house and make this transaction. Now talk about current number of people in the world unbanked. Would make an estimate. Although we see that the world is becoming digitized. A lot of persons are open to the use of the internet in making transaction, in payments. These days, if you run a shop in your locality and you want to order goods from for example China, most times we do this with our smartphones from our homes, and we make use of this payment system, internet gateways to make payment system. And this is also a good use case. Also, if we can start building gateways for payment, we wanted to have a speaker, but I think he wasn't able to join us for that. So see how we can use cryptocurrency for payment gateways. We'll talk about the PayPals of today, the Payoneers of today, and we see how they are not really secured. The owners of Payoneer can wake up and say, okay, we want to close Payoneer. If we are given this in relation to exchanges, we can see how we can build decentralized exchanges, which is a very good use case. DEX. We can build decentralized exchanges, and also see how we can build decentralized payment gateways, and see how we can replace this with the current PayPal and the giants of today. And we see this being implemented, stage by stage today, but we are looking at how we can begin to share ideas and see how we can implement this also in Africa, because sending money from one African country today, it's kind of difficult, except for some solutions out there. But I haven't really seen any stable payment gateway in Africa that could jump on implementing decentralized finance, and seeing how we can begin to transact better between ourselves in Africa. And that's a very good use case also. Now, there are much persons unbanked in the world, especially those in the rural area and all of that do not have access to the internet. And if we say let's implement decentralized finance and see how more persons can become banked, we have to start looking at other factors, like the factor of access to technology. We have so many persons in the rural area, they don't have access to technology. We see, for example, in our local areas, if you don't have a bank around you and you want to withdraw cash, you have to look for a small shop, someone that runs a private or a small, we can call it the POS system in Nigeria. You go to a POS machine, and you make a withdrawal. It's usually run by a local vendor, and it takes a fee for you from doing that. So we have to start looking at other factors like access to technology. And even in the place of access to technology, then we start looking at access to education, blockchain education. And that's why we keep organizing these sessions, to see how we can talk about and educate more people. You can learn on this if you can build a community around your local area, because you're very educated. Samson, if you can take this idea that you have, we talk about implementing DeFi, and you begin to first of all explain what decentralized finance is to your local communities or your local area, like people living in your area that do not have access to banks, but they have access to the internet, but they may not have maybe an account on a bank, or maybe they have an account but they don't save quite usual, with their accounts. You can begin to teach them about cryptocurrency, about blockchain, how they can begin to get banked using blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies. And that's a good question that you asked, and that's also a good use case idea. We'll talk about payment gateways, and also now let me see the other question that was asked. Let me see the other question. All right. Okay. I think we've answered the question. Now let's move forward. Now I'd love to. We would have an open discussion where everyone will be able to talk about use case ideas for decentralized finance. I talked about payment gateways, more of the transaction. Talk about DEX, decentralized exchanges. We talk about more from using the unique feature of Eternity, which is the transaction speed of the Eternity currency. When you send Eternity, it's very fast. It's super, super fast. We can start using this to implement in maybe making payments and see how we can build e-commerce that allows for the use of AE in payment. I'll open the discussion for everyone also to discuss about more use case idea. Now, going forward, because of time, I love to introduce us to the Superhero platform by Eternity. I love to introduce us to the platform so we can all take us through, walk through of the Superhero platform. And those of us that will be contesting for at a medium contest, it's good you understand what the Superhero platform, and see how you can set it up and begin to use it appropriately. And it's very easy to. I believe many of us already have our accounts on the Superhero platform. Now, the Superhero platform, it was created to give room for applauding. In simple terms, it was created to give room for applauding good work. If you are a art creator, if you create, you write good content out there, or you write use case ideas, for example, like the contest we'll be having about use case ideas for DeFi that we could implement on the Eternity blockchain. We then use this platform to appreciate your good work, and I'll show us some examples of tip. This is a tip made for a life aid by a fellow Superhero user, and we have for the events that we are holding right now. I got tipped also for the event, and the Superhero platform was created to ensure that there are we talk about third parties in the crypto space. Talk about third parties and how people, for example, you raise a fund, you get a GoFundMe account. Let's use that as an example. And you raise funding, you may not get access to your fund at the end of the day because maybe you failed at one verification point. They tell you verify this, verify that, verify this, verify that. And at the end of the day, you don't get access to your fund, and it's very, 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 frequent. If you raise funds for your project, you understand this also. Now you can raise funding using the Superhero platform. All you got to do is have a Superhero wallet, and there is no third party. You receive your money instantly. You claim it. You can claim your amount also. I already have an account of Superhero, so I'll just take us through the quick tutorial. Sorry for seeing this amount. It's really small, so you can tip me and help me, do better. All right, now this is the Superhero wallet. If you're using it on Chrome, you would get the browser extension for Chrome. This is the browser extension. If you're using it on your smartphone, you get the application on Play Store. If you're using an Android device, you get it on Play Store. If you're using an iOS, that's for the Apple an iPhone, you get it on the App Store. If you're using the Firefox, you can also get the Firefox extension, and you can also have the browser wallet also. Now let's quickly go through the interface. This is the interface of the Superhero platform. If you have a phone or whatever, you can go through it at the moment. Okay, now let's go through the tutorial of the Superhero. Now this short guide will walk you through the Superhero wallet D app. This short guide will walk us through the Superhero wallet D app and its features. Now let's start. Now this shows you the general information of the amounts you have. If you have your .chain name register, we'll talk about that. If you have a .chain name, you want to be identified with the .chain name, not just your wallet address. It gives room for. I'll talk about use cases also for this .chain name, aside just having it for sending cryptocurrencies and claiming your tips and all of that. We'll talk about that also. And this is shows you general information. Your .chain is my .chain name, my AU address, the balance I have in my wallet. Now this is the place where you send tip. For example, if we're on Twitter, for example, let me show us on Twitter since I have my. I'll show us how powerful this tool is. If you're using this on Twitter, if you have the extension on your Chrome browser, you will see that you can tip right away from Twitter. You can tip right away from Twitter, and you let the user know that, hey, you tip. Okay, let's use this as an example. This is a post from Brian. Brian he runs the Crypto Academy. Now he retweeted on the Eternity Superhero platform. Now, as we all can see here, I can tip this right away from my Twitter, and it's very powerful. You can see a good work and decide to support it at the go. You don't have to just support it. I can put an amount. For example, I'm not tipping him for now. I can put an amount and say, thank you, Ben Adams, for retweeting this on Twitter. Thank you for supporting the project. And I let him know that that's the reason why I have to let him know that I received a tip is because maybe his Twitter account is not associated with his Superhero account. Now that's the reason why I have to let him know, okay, I sent you a tip, can you please claim your tip? And he claims it and is happy for the support. So I just wanted to show us how powerful the tool is if you're using Twitter, and how you can easily utilize this using your Twitter account. Okay, let's go on. So let's go on with the tutorial. That's for send tip. Let's go on with the tutorial now. Send tip. Next, claim. This is the URL you tip. If you're tipping the URL, for example, you're not tipping directly from Twitter and you want to tip with a URL. For example, you want to tip a blog post. You put the URL here and you tip. But basically, it's advisable that you tip using the user's Superhero wallet, account, the URL associated to the user Superhero account, so it can be easily accessible by the user. So in using this, you can put when sending tip, you can put for example, Superhero. Let me show us an example of this, what I mean. Now come here, you see this is superhero.com/user profile. This is my user profile. So you can copy this. For example, if you want to send tip, this is what I mean by the example. Let me go back and show you what I was trying to explain now. Okay, I'm not tipping anybody. All right, so let's continue. So I just wanted to show us how you can do this using the URL. So this is it. So you can, like what I show us /user profile, and the wallet address. So it's advisable you do this, and then you link. For example, if you want to tip a blog, in the comment for your your tip, like thank you for doing this. You then put the the user's Twitter handle or the blog or platform that you're tipping the user from, for example. But generally, you can tip using the Twitter URL, the blog URL, but it's more for me. I would like advise that you tip with the users, so you ensure that the user already have an account on Superhero. So you let him know, okay, why don't you create an account on Superhero so I can, support your good work. And he says, wow, that's a good idea. I will create an account on Superhero. He comes on board and see, wow, this platform is unique. It's super cool, and he has a wallet. And then you tip very, very simple. Very simple. This is where you claim your tip. For example, if you have a tip, you can claim your tip. Yeah. Also, I've claimed my tip. I don't have any tip to claim. I could have shown us an example of how you claim. This is the activity. This is the tips you've sent out, the tips you receive, generally, and all of that. You get it here. Now top up. This is where you buy AE if you want to top up your wallet to tip. I'll show us how you can get AE. You can get AE from Binance, your Trust Wallet, and all of that. But you can buy AE from Binance. AE is listed on Binance, so you can buy your AE there, and you transfer it, or you top up from the AE store, which I'll show us also. This is where you withdraw your tip. It's your money. You can withdraw at any time. This is the settings. Okay, and that's for that. Now let me show you what is advisable to do. Now, when you create a wallet on Superhero, go on settings, come to security, and ensure you secure your wallet. I'll be showing us my phrase, so it's advisable that you do that first. It's always advisable that you back up your wallet and keep it secured. In case you lose your device, you can always get your front back. Okay, security language. This is network. Remove accounts. You can remove an account if you feel okay. You can remove an account, but why should you remove your account? There's no reason to remove your account. So leave the account and keep using the Superhero platform. Okay. Now this is where you claim your name. This is where you get your name. This is my .chain name that I've claimed already. This is where I can unction my name. This is where I can claim my .chain name. So for those of us that were asking on the group, how do you get your .chain name that I explained? Similarly, you get AE, you just come here and you do what? You claim your .chain name. It's the interface is the same if you're using a mobile device, you're using the web wallet, you're using the browser extension. All right. Now let's go back here. This is where you top up. Let me show you how you can top up. You can buy AE from the AE store. You can buy AE. We also have cool swags for us there. We have the AE t-shirt. Okay. We have the AE t-shirt there. We have the AE t-shirt there. Okay. Now we have the AE t-shirt there. Okay. I think I have an issue with network with the sites coming up, but generally you can top up. If you want to do it, you can easily just come and you top up. Okay, so that's the basic interface of the wallet explained in the short. It's very easy to use. This is my profile. This is my profile. You can also see the general broadcast of the Superhero event, right here on the Superhero League. It's not coming up. Okay, this is it. This is our event going on right now. You can see it live. This is where you get live broadcast of every Superhero League event. Like the last one we had by the Ekiti community, it was broadcast here. So you can follow up live events right here on your Superhero on the superhero.com platform. You can follow up everything you get to know about Superhero. You can also come here to watch episodes, previous episodes of the Superhero League events. You can get it's an all-in-one built powerful tool for you, so you can come here and watch episodes. We recommend you to please come here, watch episodes of previous events. We also have this one uploaded also, so please go on and watch and follow. Know where we are coming from and why we are doing this. It's very good to know where we are coming from, why we are doing this, so you can follow. This is our event going up. It's there. This is the governance voting. The app, it was incorporated into the platform also. You can come here and check it. This is frequently asked question, and I would love to use this to explain further. Superhero.com social platform with no hidden agenda. It doesn't have any hidden agenda. It does not track your activities. Like if you're using the normal platforms, like the social media platform, the Facebook, all of that. We had a superhero discussion recently on social media, and like I showed you all, you can come and see previous events and watch that discussion. It was uploaded on the YouTube channel, so you can watch that discussion. So it does not track your activity. It does no censorship to it. It does not link your revenue, like put hands. Like I talk about, if you're using a normal GoFundMe account and all of that, you get charged for getting your funds. So, but it does not take from your revenue. Whatever you get for your project, your social work that you want to embark on, or whatever, you get it 100%. There's no cuts to it. Okay, there's no hidden and dangerous. Superhero is free for all. It's free for everyone to use. You can come on board and start using it. The fees for transfer usually not going beyond 0. No, it's very cheap. You see, they just some cents. It's something small, very small. I send tips to people, and I just get small transaction fees. Like I don't pay anything at all for using it, and it's very unique. You can call me here later, and we come on the frequently asked question and follow up everything. Superhero does not track, collect, or sell anyone's data like the normal social media platforms does. They sell your data, and going forward, the goal of having the Superhero platform is to see how we can build a social media platform. We can have a big home for you having social media interaction. See how I would love us to go and watch the video. Go on there and see previous. Let me show you guys. Go on here and see previous discussion. You'd get blown away by the discussion that we had recently on social media. You come here and watch watch the previous discussion on that, and you see how the Superhero platform is powerful. Because of time, I would love to go forward. Now, the Superhero, it's for everyone, by everyone. It's an open source, free for all use. It's an open source project. It's censorship free. Like I said earlier, there's no third party custodian to tell you or your followers no. For example, if you have a Facebook account, Facebook can wake up and say, okay, the activity of your page, we don't like the activity of your page anymore, so we want to take down your page. And they like, next thing, like, why? Before, there's no, you can't even these days, if you have an account on Facebook and, for example, they decide to take off your account, they will tell you to write to support. They'll tell you they'll get back to you. Man, they don't get back to anybody. Your account is gone, and it's gone forever. If they take down your account. And that's what we are looking at. This Zwiro solves that. We don't have anything like that. The custodian will tell you no on all of that. Social media meets the power of blockchain. This is social media meeting the power of blockchain. Superhero, it's a social media platform powered by blockchain under the hood. There's blockchain under the hood, means it's powered. Like we come here, we see that Eternity powers this project, under the hood. It's a social media platform, but it is powered by the blockchain. So it is centralized, it's transparent, there's no central authority, it's secured, it's super. I'm looking for the words to quantify this platform. It's super cool. Okay, can I get support? My question isn't answered here. Okay, if you need assistance, want to report, then guys should give feedback. Yeah, please use the feedback or support button. And and this is it. If you are not clear of, we have an inbuilt support system for everyone. if you're using the platform, for example, you try to claim your tip and like, oh, I cannot receive my money, and all of that. You can come here, write to the support, or reach out to any of us who are the ambassadors. We can help you out. But in any case, if you want to connect with the support, you can come here and you hit on support and you connect with the support. You can file in your your compliance, and also if you have feedback, also you believe there's a way that the superhero platform can be improved upon, that we'll see if you have use case, more use case, and all of that. You can come to the feedback and reach out to us, and we'd love to hear from you. So I believe we've taken us through the superhero platform, taken us through a quick overview of the platform. I believe with this we are very conversant with the platform. I took us through everything basically that we need to know. If this is your tip, for example, if this was your tip, you can report a post if you feel this is spam. We talk about controlling. Although there's a way, a way, around limiting spamming, already inbuilt in the platform. But if you feel okay, you can also add a word to it, and you feel this is spam, you can report spam and all of that. Now let's come here and say this is the latest. This is for me. I got some tip, which I'm glad of, for having. This is the latest tip. This is the highest rated tip. If you want to search also on the superhero, maybe you want to search for let me search for my name. Let me search for success. You can easily just locate your tip. For example, if you come and maybe at the time you came to claim your tip, there's been many tip and you can't see your tip anymore. Just type your name and it will definitely appear. That's if you have. I'm just giving an example. If you have a dot chain name, so definitely we'll see how we can help people who love to have a dot chain name have a dot chain name, like we talked about on the WhatsApp group. So we love all of you to stay to the end, and going forward we can talk more of that. Okay. Someone asks, okay, what kind of people benefits most from? Okay, benefits from the platform. You should be people who benefit from the platform are, it's not limited. The superhero platform is not limited to any, like you say, only writers. No, it's not limited. Everyone can benefit. If you're a content creator, if you're a writer, if you're trying to seek for fund for your project, if you don't feel you want to raise a fund for your election, you feel okay, I am good for this post, I want to raise a fund. Why not come on Superhero, get people to come and get funded? So there's no limit to the use of the Superhero platform. It has no limit. Okay. All right. So let's go on because of time. I believe we're short of time already. So I just wanted to show us that. So let's move on to the next session that we'll be having with Brain Adams. I believe I was able to do justice to the topic and show us how the Spiral platform works and all of that. Some of us we'll be getting tips here, we've benefited from it, and we love to have more. Everyone creates an account, which yeah. We have cool guy. We have guys creating an account already, and we had about I think 3 persons before we started this event, messaging me that they've created an account and they are joining on the contest. So now let's move on to the next discussion that we'll be having with Mr. Brain Adams. Would be talking about Mr. Brain Adams. You can unmute yourself so we can, get onto you if you're still there. All right, Mr. Brain Adams, you'll be coming up next. We'd love to discuss further about
Hello.
The
Yeah, I'm here.
challenges. Yeah, we love to talk about the challenges of decentralized finance. We love to talk about the challenges in Africa, and we don't want to take it too broad, so we want to narrow it down to Africa. Talk about the challenges of decentralized finance currently in Africa. We would want to also talk about the future of decentralized finance, looking beyond the trends in the space. This will also give us an opportunity to have open discussion, to have an open discussion, okay, to have an open discussion with the community, with everyone attending on other use case of blockchain. Now we also love to consider how new startups in Africa can tap into decentralized finance and implement decentralized finance using the Eternity protocol, because we've gone through the technical angle, we've seen how we can begin to implement decentralized finance in Africa using the Eternity protocol. So we also love to also look into how we can begin to, because you are an educator, you've educated lots of persons, because I worked with you closely, and I've seen you have you have passion for educating people in Africa on blockchain technology. So we love to also talk about how we can create more educational methods in which we can implement to have more people educated in Africa on decentralized finance, on blockchain technology. And lastly, would we'll just have a reflection around the line of thought, and then we'll have a general discussion. Okay, over to you, Mr. Bernard. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Success. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes.
Just okay. So yes, thank you guys so much. It's an amazing session that we've had. I'd like to say hi to all of you, those who have tuned in, and also our guest speakers, Stefan and Emmanuel. It was an amazing session. I really appreciate you guys for that, and also to Success for giving me this opportunity to talk a little bit about DeFi challenges and what next. So, yes, my name is Brian Adams, and as Success did put it out there, we do focus on crypto education um, and also sharing what's happening in this existing market. So, as for me, I was writing down notes, yes, and I did pick some pointers from our guests, and I'm really it was actually an amazing session. So, um, at Success, I believe we did ask about the challenges that Africa is facing when it comes to decentralized finance.
Yes,
I
yes, in
think
Africa.
the basic answer to that is yeah. Uh, Very many people in Africa, out of the 1 billion population, lack access to some of these technologies that some of us are privileged to access. For example, smartphones or even computers. And apart from that, even the basic infrastructure such as internet connectivity. So this is one of the biggest challenges that definitely probably drags uh, or makes the process of mass adoption of cryptocurrencies and blockchain in Africa to go major. So this is one of the biggest challenges. The second one is lack of access to education, or even lack of information. Like people, like for example, this is a very huge event. It's a very educative event, but you find that it hasn't yet reached out to a bigger audience. Why? That should be the biggest question. Why? Yeah, the why is because probably there's lack of infrastructure, and or because of just lack of knowledge. People aren't aware that this is happening, that there's a new form of um, what can I say, financial system that is actually uh, being built by active members of the community, such as the superhero league ambassadors and anyone who and their community team and people who are working on things like blockchain technology. So I think, um, yeah, these are some of the challenges that we are facing in Africa, and I think we need to address them one by one. We can't say that we will start today and wind up the journey. Actually, this is a journey that never ends, where we have to keep on reaching out to new people, learning the trends that are coming along in the line of decentralized finance or blockchain technology. I believe the guest Stephen actually did expound on DeFi or DeFi, that is decentralized finance and how it works. So I don't want to keep on going back to that, but I believe that you understand that this whole thing has been an evolution where we started with decentralized currencies. It's like the history of money. If you take any course that tries to explain about cryptocurrencies in the layman's language, we meet a very interesting topic that deals with the history of money. You need to understand how this whole process is playing out. So we did have. I don't want to go back to the history of money, but for in the decentralized world, we did have decentralized currencies that are cryptocurrencies which first came up, such as Bitcoin, such as Eternity here, and then there were decentralized contracts where people started building contracts that could automate themselves, and these contracts were very scalable. Like they can automate or they can execute very many transactions within a given period of seconds, and that is where blockchain technologies like Eternity comes in. You find that we do have six channels on Eternity. The process of probably adding transactions or adding data on the Eternity. Um, it cuts out the delays of this type of it cuts out actually any. So from there, we did go to we are in decentralized finance. We find that people are building financial systems on top of on top of this whole network, the decentralized or what we rather call cryptocurrencies and decentralized contracts. You see now, people are taking advantage of decentralized currencies, and these currencies, they've also combined decentralized currency with decentralized contracts, sorry, to build financial systems that are working for the people and that are getting huge traction, or huge number of people moving to this side. And because people actually, the main idea behind all this, people want to be their own banks. You want to be the person who you want to be the guy who manages each and every financial activity just from home with your phone, and everything you do is your own liability. At the same time, um, you are not tracked or nobody keeps on checking on what you do. That is the whole aspect of decentralization. Um, then now, I think now I have talked about the challenges. I've already addressed the challenges. I did talk about lack of infrastructure or lack of information, which we are really working on as Cryptocurrency Academy. And I'm really happy that we joined hands to work with Eternity and the superhero community team and the rest of the team, just to bring information to people like you. Um, yeah, now the next bit was what next? Can we look at beyond the trend?
Yeah, the
Um,
future. Yeah.
definitely, yeah, yeah, beyond the trend. So what is likely to happen? You know, we've had decentralized currencies. Now we had decentralized contracts. Now we do have decentralized finance or decentralized financial systems. And what is actually very likely to happen? Actually, I think it's already happening, and it's a huge world where we're finding people building automated games. Like so, I think the next thing will be decentralized games and decentralized corporates, like companies which are working in a 100% decentralized manner on a decentralized protocol that doesn't need any people to come and say, you know what, I'm the boss, I want you to do this and this. No, it's a protocol that runs on itself, that executes certain things if a certain threshold has been met. And I think this is where we're headed. Um, and I know it will have huge impacts on things like um, employment. Yes, it will definitely happen. Very many people within certain parts of an organization will be affected. At the same time, it will open up new job opportunities for people in this space. For example, like right now, I was on Twitter and I saw that Eternity is looking for local superhero ambassadors. You see, the whole space is actually opening up, and you have to bear the fact that blockchain technology and this whole side of decentralized finance is actually, on a serious note, is actually one of the highest paying jobs in Africa and across the world. And very many people are running to understand what is this blockchain? What are these smart contracts? How can I build a smart contract? How can I build an application uh, on a decentralized network, such as Eternity? How can you build a dApp? And this is one of the most exciting times we are in. And I can't really say this is what will happen next, but since back in 2017, I didn't think of DeFi. I didn't think that it would be a huge, uh, can I call it club banger? Everybody's talking about DeFi right now because actually, when you even look at the market, it's actually everybody's talking about DeFi, to be honest. And the reason as to why people are talking about decentralized finance is because it's an actual current trending thing. Just like we did have ICOs, then we did have IEOs, then we
Yeah,
do have now. And yeah, so I really
yeah,
don't know where this whole market is headed, but I'm really sure that it is very ready and very ripe for people to come on top of it and start becoming, start pursuing careers in this line,
yeah.
and those. Yeah. Yeah, so that is it from me. From my take, I think Eternity is really cool. I've had some encounters with you before. I worked on a project with Eternity, and we were building a scalable solution on Eternity, revolving around charity. And it was an exciting journey. I got to learn a lot about Eternity. I got to meet different team members here in Kenya from the Eternity team, and I'll encourage you guys that yeah, man, if you, I think this is where the world is headed, and you really need to understand it. You really need to at least put your leg in there, or if you have friends who you know are really do love code, then you should ask them, you know what, bro, this is nothing, you should definitely look at it, and it's broken and decentralized solutions. That is what I can call them, because all of them, they are solutions. The decentralized currencies are solution. It was a solution. The decentralized contracts were a solution. Now decentralized finance here, it is a solution.
Yeah,
Decentralized corporate solutions, decentralized games or decentralized applications are solutions. So yeah,
thank
yeah, that
you.
is it.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Thank you for that insightful presentation. You really dealt with the topic very well. I love the way you explained it in a very practical sense. Let's talk about ideas in Africa. Let's talk about ideas in Africa. Where do you think that Africa currently has challenge? Maybe not in the financial sector, maybe in other sector like in government, like in the educational sector, like in the agricultural sector, and all of that. How can we apply decentralized finance in all this other sector aside from the cryptocurrency or financial sector in Africa?
Okay, so I think um, we'll look at the challenges again when it comes to specific sectors or industries in Africa. Probably let's talk about food or the agri agri-tech or agri-tech industries in Africa.
Yeah.
I think what we're lacking is, as much as I've seen a couple of solutions, people are building solutions on different on blockchain technology to mitigate certain risks, such as transparency and things like those. I think what we're lacking is what can I say? What we're lacking is enough people um, to start building solutions
Yes,
and
yes, yes,
pushing
yes.
them and executing them fully to the level of, you know what, we have this number of people who are using our product, and it's never an easy journey, to be honest. I've worked with a couple of industry players, and they always tell me that it is not an easy journey. You know, it's not like you will start a company today and within the next 1 year, boom, unless you are very lucky, but you really have to keep on pushing, to keep on executing, to keep on displaying the value of your product, so as to be able to build a community around it who trust and who trust your network 100%. And the solution has to be viable, has to be visible. You know, at the same time, I really don't want to go to this side of things, but I think when it comes to like, let's say you want to implement a certain product in the line of governments, then I think one of the biggest challenges one can face is things like bureaucracy. You know, you have this idea, but somebody somewhere knows that it will impact him in a huge way. It might render him jobless at the end of the day. So he doesn't want that
Yeah, 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 yeah,
specific
yeah.
technology to in the system, you know, because he knows very well. So if you are chosen to go in that line, then you really have to be persistent. You really have to keep on pushing, you know, really have to keep on displaying your product and making sure that it is actually solving the real problem out there. You don't really have to rush to give like a pitch of what you have to the governments. At times, you have to start at grassroots levels. Just build, invite a couple of friends from campus, from high school, or go to a certain campus and high school, build a solution for them. Like you can build a solution for voting in campuses. And let's say if this specific um, application does the job for this specific campus for a given period of time, it can even be 5 years. Then one day, one time, somebody will be like, you know what, is this school that has been using this system? It runs on blockchain. And the minute the last person uh, casts his vote on the last day of voting, people already know who the winner was. You have completely removed the process of people counting the votes manually. And this is where the whole thing of leaguing comes, you know. So this is one major idea which people can definitely, this is an idea I'm sharing to the people who are
Yeah,
here. You can write about it and participate. If it does make sense to you, you can participate in the contest by documenting this type of idea. And you never know, man. I mean, it's free education with free rewards. Have you ever seen a school that actually remunerates you for doing that activities? None. I think this whole idea of decentralized applications and decentralized finance, decentralized corporates, it's changing everything. People are getting rewarded for things like attending a class. This is a class of itself. Imagine, where have you ever seen this? Nowhere. It doesn't happen that often. And just documenting or just throwing a tweet or writing a tweet, and you're getting tipped for that very simple detail. If you're a graphic designer and come up with a good design of a graphic that probably explains what eternity is all about, an infographic that explains what eternity is all about, then you get your own tips. Probably $10, probably $5, probably $2. But where on earth can you get this type of um, where can you get this type of application? I think this whole thing is really transformative and very very disruptive. Yeah. So
yeah.
I think I've answered the question.
Okay, so we have a question. Somebody asking, is anyone building? The reason why I would answer that question, I would answer that question. We wouldn't want to. That's a general guideline for the event, so we would face what Eternity is doing in the space and how Eternity can be utilized, in solving this. Now, Eternity has a stable coin, the AES stable coin, it's still inbuilt. And in decentralized finance, we talk about altcoins like the Tether and all of that. Now, Eternity has its own stable coin already implemented, as a use case for DeFi. Okay, if you have your idea, this is why we have this event. If you have your idea that you love to build on, we are open to build a team around it. We have developers, we have researchers, we have contributors. I can get on your team and see how we can implement this on the Eternity blockchain. So sure, are people building? Yes, Eternity is building already. Eternity has JellySwap powered an automated exchange platform, powered by for DeFi as a use case. Eternity has its stable coin, and also would want you to jump into discussion that we'll be having now. You asked about if anyone is building. We'd love you to join us in this open discussion that I'll be having now to talk about. I believe the person who asked that question joined in late. I think he joined when we were talking about when I was giving a presentation on the Superhero platform. I think if the user joined from the start, he could have seen where we gave an example of a DApp example built on the Eternity protocol. The presentation was given by Emmanuel, and we gave a very good theoretical background to the discussion. Now let's go on to an open topic. I love everyone. If you want to contribute into this, just unmute yourself and join us on the discussion on this. We would love to talk about use case. This topic will be on imagining. We want to imagine. I don't want us to, although the original topic was to imagine financial sector, every financial system today, on like utilizing, transforming every financial solution you have today into a decentralized platform, like having every financial solution we have today decentralized and applied on the blockchain, on the decentralized, or incorporating decentralized finance into this already existing banking or financial system we have out there. And we'd love to have an open discussion now. We'd love to hear your contribution, because we'll be having speakers, and I believe a lot of us here, we have ideas. We have we've been working also in other, we've been working in the blockchain space. We have good ideas about decentralized finance. So we'll be having an open discussion for everyone to contribute about. We want to look at more use cases aside, because I think for now, although the trends in the DeFi discussion that we'll be having now, more recently in the space, is more financial sector. We see more people coming up to say, okay, they want to implement DeFi in database. I think that's Eternity has oracles. We have the oracles that we interact with database on the blockchain, and I think that's also a good application for us. Now, we don't want to just have a discussion that we just come and discuss about use case. We would love to have people live here wanting to build, wanting to implement. We have a great support system at Eternity. If you have an idea you want to build a decentralized solution, you can jump in and we are there for you. You can contact me, you can contact anyone. You can contact Mr. Steven in Nigeria. You can reach on to Eternity, go to the AE Ventures. Let me show you all. I think it's great. Let me show you before we have the discussion. Let me share my screen and show you this. So it's great that that we are open. We have a really open. We are very open to ideas, and if you have an idea, we'd love to have you come on board, and would love to partner. This is the AE Ventures. The AE Ventures, we support the AE Ventures supports blockchain startups if you have a startup or an idea from around the world, on their way to disrupt industries and make a difference. Now, if you want to disrupt the financial sector, you have a decentralized finance idea. Why not come on, jump in here, present your idea, and we'd love to reach out to you. You can accelerate your blockchain idea. You can grow and expand your blockchain startup. So if you have an idea like we discussed, and Bryn Adams talked about education, how we can have more persons come on board to begin to build solutions. Currently, we do not have a robust implementation of decentralized finance in in Africa, even in the globe. You talk about in the global space, or in Europe, in the continent, in various continents, we do not have a robust use case. It is really a new feed. There's really a lot of buzz around decentralized finance. So we love to have, if you have an idea, like the person has, is anyone building, meaning you have something that you would love to build. Why not? Come on, jump on this, and we love to hear your idea. We would love to partner with you. We have a great support system. We have the Starfleet program. We've supported lots of projects, lots of startups, and we love to have you join us. Okay, come on the AE Ventures. Go on the AE forum if you want to join. If you have an idea and you believe you can connect, this is the AE forum that you can connect with us directly. You can connect with the AE platform directly. We love to have you here. You can come here, and you sign up, you join, and you present your idea. We love to have you. There are so many ideas, so many proposals made, so many of them. So many people coming to make proposals on here. So you can come and say, this is a presentation. There was a alternative blockchain development future. People discussing, and also there are so many ideas that has been dropping. This is a resourcing on this demystifying AE state channels. You can come here and read upon this. So there are lots of resources, lot of community guide for you if you're confused. Maybe you have an idea that you love to implement, but you don't know how to get started. Come on the forum, sign up, and post your idea on the forum. You definitely see there are lots of people ready to support you. The forum is very active, very, very, very active. This is very active on the forum. So if you love to start up and you feel okay, maybe if you write to the AE Ventures, you may not get quick response, because so many people believe maybe if they write an email, they may not get a response, but you will definitely get a response. But if you feel okay, you need something quicker, you can come on the forum and drop your ideas, write on your decentralized ideas that you have, show us what you can do. And you have lots of support system. You have developers, more advanced developers who can help you implement your idea. If your idea is very complex and you need support from other developers, come here. You see lots and lots of discussion, Okay, this is the new the updates. This is apps development, like I was sharing with us now. If you have an idea on apps development, or you want to learn more about app, you can jump on this angle of the forum, and you get support. There are lots of discussion about apps development here. There are so many discussions on that. So I just wanted to show us how we can participate. If you feel, you can come on the forum, and this is a good place for you to discuss about anything, any idea you have and you love to share with us. Okay, now let's now open room for discussion. If you would love everyone to unmute yourself, and we would love to discuss about use case ideas in Africa, where you feel we are in the use of DeFi, where you feel DeFi can be implemented, but nobody seems to be looking at that aspect. If you have this, you can come and discuss right away. We're having an open discussion for everyone, at the go. So if you love to say something to make us orderly, you'd okay. I love every one of us to turn on our videos. I love every one of us to turn on our video. I love every one of us to turn on our video. Okay. So I love every one of us to turn on our videos. But if you feel you can't turn on your video because you are shy, okay, good. Ben Adams, you turned on. Other persons, you can turn on your video because this is an open discussion for everyone to contribute. We love to hear your own ideas and your own contribution. So I think Michael, you love to go first, and we love to hear your idea on where you think DeFi can be implemented. Like a more unique, original, or an aspect that we've not talked about. Michael, we'd love to hear from you now. Yeah, Michael. Okay, Michael. Let's move forward. Michael, I think Michael, it's not there. Let's talk to Mr. Sunday to keep the ball because he opened. Okay. All right. All right. Let's hear from Emmanuel. Emmanuel, we love to hear from you before we go on to we have okay, we have someone joining us from Venezuela. We bring him up. He's an ambassador in Venezuela to also contribute to the topic. So Emmanuel, we'd love to hear from you also where you think DeFi can be implemented, and we've not really looked into that angle, because the space is really new. The topic is really the buzz around it is developing, and we'd love to hear from you where you feel we can implement DeFi aside financial sector also. So Emmanuel, please, you can unmute yourself and speak. So we'd love to hear from you. So Emmanuel.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so other places where DeFi besides okay, the question is basically other places where DeFi can be used besides transactions and all of that, right?
Okay. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So like like Stephen was saying, DeFi basically stands for decentralized finance basically. So it circles mostly around the whole financial world, the whole
Yeah,
financial life.
yeah, yeah.
When you say DeFi, it comes to the mind. What comes to the mind is financial transactions really happening on the blockchain, but in decentralized format. So when you actually ask for okay other places where DeFi can actually be applied, right? For now, right, the only major use case we can actually, think about when it comes to DeFi basically is when it comes to the transactions, buying and selling, interactions between two different people. But when it comes to using DeFi technologies, you can actually the possibility is basically limitless. You can go from basic data storage to that using the whole blockchain technology to doing things like generating invoices, generating receipts, management systems, and all of that. So the extent to which technology is backing DeFi, basically, the extent which those technologies can carry on is actually limitless. Yes. So there's a lot of fields where the whole blockchain technology and the whole smart contract can be applied. But when it comes to DeFi itself, DeFi is basically, it's basically, bent or fine-tuned to basically finance itself. So the question generally, in general terms, to be fine-tuned, when we're asking that question, where else can DeFi be applied? To be specific about what we're actually asking about. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Let me go again with the question. Which you talked about applying DeFi being basically applied in the financial sector. if we talk about like having smart contracts implemented, that's bringing smart contract into the discussion gives it room for more application aside just financial sector. You can now start seeing how we can apply this in payments of
Yeah.
workers. Yes, we can apply this in payments of staff. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, we can apply this and see how we can interact with smart contracts and also making payments in cryptocurrency. So that's the general idea of what I was trying to ask. Aside what we have now, the staking, the lending, and all of
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we would like, like I said, the scope of decentralized finance is actually very very broad. Like, so you can, it's not only about exchanging cryptos and like jelly swap between, then there, like I said, there are other use cases which can include creating of invoices, like you said, even in school management systems can be built using smart contracts. So like the access to these smart contracts can actually the like possibility of using smart contracts in the future is just limitless. Like I said, there are a lot, like almost everything we have now running, in the tech world can actually run on smart contracts. Even when it comes down to gaming level, there are gaming platforms that are built using smart contracts and all of that. So smart contracts are actually, a very new or a very huge revolution in the world of technology.
All right. Thank you for your contribution. Okay, so please, we love the floor is still open for everyone. Michael, if you love to say something, you can unmute yourself and contribute. Mr. Eric Chain, you still around? If you love to contribute, I would love to hear your contribution on this also. We'd love to hear you speak on this also. So we'd love to hear from you, Eric. If you're still there. All right, let's go forward. Let's hear the last talk from Mr. Ben Adams. Then we'll call the session to a close. And Mr. Ben Adams, you can just add your closing remarks to our discussion. Yeah.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, I think we did have a very interactive session.
Yes.
We've learned a lot. Personally, I've learned a lot from our guest speakers, from you, um, taking us through this whole thing of DeFi. If there are any people, if there are any developers or coders in the house, I'm sure they've learned something from Emmanuel. For the people who wanted to learn more about DeFi, from Stephen, and from you, and from me as well. So I think the industry is growing. We still have a long way to go. I'm really excited that I'm seeing very young people actually pioneering this whole space. It means that by the time some of us have gotten to the age of 40, where most of us will be financially mature or also business-wise mature, I'm sure these are some of the things that we will want to implement in the line of decentralized applications or decentralized finance. So I think it's a process. We just need to keep on educating our people, our families, our young children that this is an existing realm of things. If you try to tell this to a person who is in sci-fi or centralized finance, most of them will be like, you know what? By the people in sci-fi, I'm talking about bankers. Most of them are normally very, yeah, it will happen. You know what? But I don't want to get to that story. I don't know why we are facing a lot. We are actually facing a lot of challenges from the centralized side of things. All sort of news we've seen, all sort of talks, all sort of publications going out there about cryptocurrencies and decentralized finance. But I think that since I've seen very many uh, banks actually building digital tokens, their own version of digital tokens around the world, I think now it's very clear that the world is headed to these sort of things. a world of transparency, a world of trust, a world of automation, and a world of anonymity. And at the same time, I normally say that with decentralized finance or decentralized application or with blockchain, every head counts, and every head matters. Every head that is out here has a say. And yeah, so I'd like to thank you to thank this whole team, the Super League team, for organizing such amazing events. I'm really happy that we've gotten to work with you guys. That is from Cryptocurrency Academy to the entire Eternity and Superhero League uh, group and team. Thank you so much for your time. Let us keep on pushing. Let us keep on educating people. And for the people who tuned in, remember, there's a huge contest going out there, over 400 AE, and more tips will be distributed to you for attending this amazing session. And we will have more coming, and we look forward to interacting with you and having the best of sessions. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on the Superhero WhatsApp group. If you're here and you've not been able to join the group, please, I'm sure Success will drop the link to the WhatsApp group, and you will be able to interact with other amazing people out there. Let us share ideas. Let us build ourselves by interacting, by familiarizing with doing simple activities such as attending to such shows and probably participating in other contests or other similar contests out there.
All
Thank you
right.
so
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Comments from a YouTube viewer. I love to attend to this. I don't think Africans like what the YouTube viewer said. Africans do not like things with low transaction fee. I'm an African, and we are seeing how we can discuss beyond the use of blockchain or decentralized finance for staking and lending, and that's the key reason why we organized this event. So we are seeing how we can. We talked about smart contract. I believe the user didn't join early. I think the user joined very late. So when we were at the third session, that was when the user joined. So you can also go back to watch the playback video from the start. Then you get an overview of what was discussed so far. Now let's go on. We have guys running in now. We have Tony. Tony, we love your input on this discussion on decentralized finance. We're looking at the reason why there's a difference in it is because we discussed about smart contracts. Now having smart contracts being applied alongside DeFi gives room for more use cases beyond financial. For example, I know the whole idea is financial systems, but it gives more use cases beyond lending, staking, like we are seeing. We begin to see, okay, you can sell your data. For example, if you build a decentralized data storage system using the Eternity protocol, you can see how you can incentivize this data storage system to see how developers can interact and also with your database. So that's another good use case. I will talk about crowdfunding, decentralized, having decentralized companies, having decentralized gaming, applied using DeFi. And we'd love to hear your input on this, Tony, as we round up the discussion. So, Tony, please, you can unmute yourself and contribute to this, okay? If you're there.
Okay. I didn't actually get the question you actually were trying to refer. Just please, can you recap a
Okay,
little bit?
okay. All right. We've been discussing about use cases for DeFi. I believe you are familiar with decentralized finance because you're a writer. You write a lot about blockchain and all of that. So we'd love to hear your input on the discussion. Like in Africa, what do you think we can do better in Africa to see how we can build more solutions in decentralized finance in Africa. So just want to hear a brief contribution on that.
Okay. In Africa, actually in Africa, decentralized finance should be a very considerable, or maybe a very good option for most of the persons.
I think you have
Trust,
okay.
and then this uh,
Okay. I think you have a connection problem. So no problem. You can put it on the comments. You can add your feedback on the comment section. I'll take note of it. Okay, I love to appreciate everyone for attending. I would wish to invite other people joining us from Venezuela and other parts, but I believe we have communication. We may have some communication barriers because we are communicating with English and maybe with the English language, and maybe other people joining us from other, like from Spain. They may not have. They may they may not be able to speak the English language. So we are talking about communication barriers. But if we can communicate with English, we love to know. We love to give Mr. Ivan. Ivan, I don't know if you love to also add an input to this. Um, Ivan or Andre Sanchez, if you can just add your inputs to this. Yeah, yeah. Hello, Ivan. So, Ivan, you can join in the conversation. I love to hear your ideas on decentralized finance. Also, yeah. Hello, Andre Sanchez. They both joining us from Venezuela, I think. Yeah. Andre Sanchez is from Venezuela. We love to also hear your input on decentralized finance, where you think we can apply decentralized finance, or we talk about use case ideas or solutions that we can build using the Eternity protocol to solve problems in finance using the Eternity protocol. So please, you can unmute yourself and speak. Ivan and Andrew, love to hear. Yeah. Great, great, great. Okay. Ivan, Ivan, we love to hear from you. You can join us and drop your contribution. Okay, like I said earlier, there may be barriers of communication because of English language, but I believe they have lots of ideas, and that they could share with us. Okay, okay. All right. He dropped his contribution and he said the issue with DeFi in their country is changing. So it's true. Generally, in the globe, DeFi it's evolving topic, and there are lots of discussions and use case ideas discussed around it. So I'd love to thank everyone for attending today. We are way we've gone past the allocated time that we had for the event. So I'd just like to our speakers to just give us final remarks and goodbyes. Love to Sunday Stephen. You can just come and give us your general remark and your closing notes while others come to, so that we can round up and call it a day, or call it an evening, because okay, day, we can say a day. We're still We're still in the day. All right. So, Mr. Steven, up to you, please. Just you can come on and give us your final remark as we close for the evening.
Okay. All right. I'm very sorry. I left the call at some point. I ran out of mobile data, so I had to go and recharge again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Come back. Yeah. Um. Thank you all for being here, and then it was really an exciting time. Thank you, success, for the call and thank you for the opportunity to share my little something about what I know. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Okay, Emmanuel, just give us your final remark as we close for today. So, Emmanuel, unmute yourself and let us hear you.
Okay, I want to thank everybody for attending this, meeting, and it has really been educative even for me. Getting to hear from other speakers about DeFi itself, and then dissecting DeFi to the very level. So it's really been very, very educative to all of us, and I hope that we'll actually see a lot of solutions coming out of our community. A lot of groundbreaking solutions, and I hope to see that the future actually come up from us. So thank you for everyone. Thank you for your participation.
All right, Brain Adams, um, Mr. Brain Adams.
Yeah. So
Okay. All right. I'd love to just read before we round up the comments from Ivan. Ivan said Venezuela has been blocked in many okay financial systems, means they've been having issues in financial systems like the banking and all of that, and lots of persons have been having issues. So he believes decentralized finance is an option. It is an option. It is a solution. We talk about mass adoption of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies, which is the future of money and the future of transaction, and it's going to really disrupt. It's already disrupting lots of sector, and it's going to really disrupt further. And DeFi, the financial systems need to be disrupted even more. We need more disruptions, and he believes that this is a good option for that. Okay, all right. Now, don't forget to use our superhero platform so we can get support for your work on the internet. We have a contest going on. We have a contest already. I gave a presentation on the superhero platform, so we have a contest, a Twitter contest ongoing. How to participate is that you a write an article on Medium or Reddit or any platform. If you own a blog, or you write an article to talk about how DeFi can be. You give your original use case idea, or a unique use case idea, or something that is already being discussed already, and you feel there are more ways to applying these use case ideas. How we can go about this. Just give a general overview of a use case idea and how it can be implemented using the Eternity blockchain. So it's not difficult. Write a use case idea, relate it to Eternity and how it can be utilized on the Eternity blockchain, then share on Twitter. All right, good. Yeah, then share on Twitter using the hashtags. You use the hashtag DeFi, hashtag Superhero League, hashtag Africa. Then you also use the hashtag. Yeah, those are the three major hashtag, then you can use, but you can also use hashtag decentralization. You can also use that hashtag also. Then also you tag the various social, the Twitter handles of Eternity, the Eternity blockchain Twitter handle. You tag it to the post on Twitter. You tag the Superior.chain Twitter handle to that also, and you can also tag me to it. So, but generally, we'll monitor this from your posting with the hashtag already, and you post on our group, and we'll see these contents. We already have entries already. This evening we had entries already, and we're expecting more entries tomorrow. So we'll pick the top three. The first winner wins 250 200 AE. Then the second runner up wins 100 AE. Then the third runner up wins 50 AE. So we love to have all of you. Thank you all for attending. Please participate in our contest. We love to tip you. I love to immediately this event. I love to just start tipping you, sending love to everyone and tipping you guys for participating in the event. So I love to get active on my superhero wallet, tipping a lot of you for your participation. All right, thank you guys for attending. I love to thank everyone for putting things together. Thank our speakers for sharing knowledge with us this evening. We love to thank our ambassador manager Eric, Mr. Eric, for an opportunity for us to gather local communities and see how we can begin to learn. This is not going to be the last Superhero League events we'll be having. We'll be having lots of interesting discussion topic that we'll be discussing going forward. We're looking at like going forward next month or next 2 months, depending on the planning and all of that. And we'll keep you updated on this. Also, we have global superhero events holding. We'll be sharing this on the group. Like I showed you guys, you can go and watch previous events go on the superhero platform. Go check the league, click on league. You scroll down and you see videos of previous events that has been held, and you follow this event. Thank you all for attending. Thank you all those that joined us from the YouTube live stream. Thank you for your contribution. We saw your contribution, the comments, and all of it. Now we love to thank you all for attending this evening. We love to call it. We love to call the event to a close, and thank you all for your contribution. Good night, everyone.
Bye, success. Thank you for everything, and thank you everyone who came here.